Hey, today we're going to talk about a different type of welding machine. Keep in mind that you're going to walk into the shop. We have 40 welding booths and we have a lot of different types of welders. Now these are constant current power supplies, so we TIG weld and we stick weld with them. This Lincoln Precision TIG 275, we have a bunch of them. They all work the same way, but the controls are different. Some of the fittings are different, some of the switches are different. The Dynasty welders, the Miller welders, they don't have switches, they have buttons. Now again, they all work the same way, but we're going to take you through this machine. So if you walk into a booth with a Dynasty in it, we have a video on how to operate the Dynasty. If you walk into the booth with a Syncrowave Miller, we're going to have a video on that. And we're going to make this video on here. So what we're going to do is take you through the process when you walk into the booth and this machine is all wrapped up like this. We're going to take you through the process of how to set this thing up to TIG weld steel. There'll be another video on TIG welding aluminum and another video on stick welding with this same machine. So first things first, power cable. We got to have power. If we look at this cable, there's a little tab there. It's a little guide tab when we plug it into the wall here. That guide tab goes to the back of the female connector. So we bring this thing in, we turn it around just a little bit, and they can be a little tricky, but you can feel it go in. We work it up in there good, and we put this retainer ring on. Then we hit the breaker. Now the power is from the wall to the machine. Second thing we need gas to TIG weld. So each one of your welders has a gas line on the back. This is a quick connect fitting. We want to make sure it's not damaged. There's no big cuts or scores or nicks in it, and we're going to bring it over to our gas line setup. Now when we TIG weld, we always use 100% argon. You can see these other ones have argon on them too, but these are gas mixtures with argon. When we TIG weld, we want 100% argon. So the quick connect simply slides up in there and you push it in until you hear it click. And this one doesn't want to go in there real good, because if you notice, right on the end of that, you see how that's damaged? Right on this edge, it's flat. So though I didn't plan for this not to go in there, it's actually good to show you. If this will not go up in there, it's probably because you have a damaged connector on it, and we have these and it needs to be replaced. Now if I wiggle it around a little bit, it will go up in and latch, but let's replace that. So we go on with our argon. Now we have gas, we have power. We're going to go back to the front of the machine. The next thing we need to have is our work clamp. We bring our work clamp around, and if we look at the front of this machine, we can see this is showing us this is our work clamp. This is our power side. So we put our work clamp on our table. It can go on the table, it can go on the bottom, anywhere on your positioner here. Now, we move to the TIG torch itself. Now you got to keep in mind that these torches are expensive and they're pretty temperamental. We got to make sure we don't drop these on the floor. I'm going to give a quick rundown just to look at it and make sure the cap's not damaged or the nozzle's not damaged. It looks pretty good. Here's our big long torch, and the next component that we need to TIG weld is our rheostat foot pedal. On these particular machines, we have a drawer where our foot pedal lives. So we pull our foot pedal out. Just like the gas pedal of a car, right? We set our TIG pedal down, and now we're ready to turn the machine on. We've got our power on, we've got our gas on, we've got our work clamp, we've got our pedal out. Now we're going to come over here and flick the machine on. There's a lot of buttons and a lot of controls on this thing. So from here over have to do with pre-flow, post-flow, pulsation, pulses per second. These are a little bit more advanced buttons. For you just starting out, we're going to concentrate on what you need to know to get going for welding steel. So first things first, we have DC negative polarity, alternating current polarity, and DC positive polarity. We always TIG weld in DC negative polarity. Aluminum and magnesium use alternating current, AC. Everything else you weld uses DC negative. Steel, stainless steel, titanium, all the other metals use DC negative, okay? So we're TIG welding steel today. We're going to turn our polarity switch to DC negative. This is our main amperage control dial. So right now I'm at 98 amps. Now we're TIG welding, and remember, these machines can stick weld and TIG weld. So the first control that I'm looking at is this one over here, and what it's showing is a little picture of a stinger for stick welding. I'm not stick welding. I want this flicked down to the TIG torch. Okay? I want this on the TIG torch side. This dial, the AC auto balance, sine wave balance, is irrelevant when we weld in DC. All of these controls are for when we're welding in AC. We don't need to spend much time on these right now because we're setting it up for steel. The next control, you see there is a foot pedal, or there's a picture of a TIG torch with a trigger on it. We are not using that. We are using the foot pedal, the remote pedal, and you'll see this green light come on. Again, this is our amperage adjustment. Okay? These controls up here get into amperage starting. They should be set pretty good for you. Again, these controls are for pulsation, pre-flows, post-flows, and your instructor will get into that a little bit more with you later. Now, one thing I do need to make sure I do is when I push this pedal down, it actuates the machine to let gas come out of the torch. But right now it's not working. So what I have to do is I have to push the pedal and at the same time turn the dial on the flow meter. So if you watch the bubble come up, I push the pedal and now I have gas. You can probably hear that gas coming out now. I shut it off, I turn it on. Okay? So now we've got our gas set, 20 to 30, 25 CFH. Now we've got our gas set. Our torch is in good condition. We are set up for TIG. We're on DC negative polarity, always. We are not using a scratch start, so we're using the foot pedal, and this is our amperage adjustment. To get started with your first welds, that's pretty much all you need. If it doesn't work, if something's going wrong, get your instructor in here, but those are the first basic steps to start your steel TIG welds.